know that the order of the books of the Old Testament is different in our English Bibles compared to the order of the books in the Hebrew Bible? And did you know that this actually impacts how we read these books? Let me give you one example. The book of Ruth. In our English Bibles, Ruth follows Judges. Why? Because the first line of the book of Ruth is, in the time when judges judged. There's like this historical note that links Ruth to the time period of Judges. Whether or not that's actually the case, let's leave that off to the side. But when we read Ruth in light of that first verse, we usually read it as history. It's also wedged between Joshua, Judges, Ruth, Samuel, Kings, the history books, the books that we call the historical books of the Old Testament. But in the Hebrew Bible, in the order of the Hebrew Bible, Ruth is in a section called the Writings. Ruth is not next to Joshua and Judges before Samuel and Kings. Ruth is much later. And this is interesting because Ruth follows Proverbs in the Hebrew Bible. Why does it do that? Glad you asked. You know, at the end of the book of Proverbs, that famous poem in Proverbs chapter 31, we've named entire ministries after this, the Proverbs 31 woman, and we wheel out this poem a lot of times around Mother's Day just to make all the women in the crowd feel really inferior to this woman of industry who's like sewing quilts and butchering meat and caring for her children and being an entrepreneur, and like she's doing all kinds of things. Like from the time she wakes up to the time she goes to sleep, it's like go, 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 go. Moms, thanks for your service. You're not like her. Okay, right? We kind of lay the guilt on, but that's a bad way of reading this. In Proverbs 31, it's painting the picture of a woman of noble character, or an eshet chayil, which has become a phrase that's popular amongst some Christians. Now, I would say that for us to understand this and to understand why Ruth shows up right after it is really important, because in the book of Ruth, how do you think Ruth is described? Right, Ruth is eshet chayil. A wife, a woman of noble character. So we have this poem at the end of Proverbs 31 that lays out all of this stuff that's really hard to attain. But then in the very next book, Ruth, we have a picture of what that might look like. And great news for all the moms and all the women who are trying to live underneath of the massive pressure of Proverbs 31. Ruth, if you haven't noticed, is not waking up in the very beginning of the day and just working and putting quilts together and butchering meat and sewing baskets and doing whatever other crazy stuff the Proverbs 31 woman is doing. Ruth is living life. And yeah, she's busy, and yeah, she works hard, but it's not something that can't be replicated. Ruth provides an image of what this actually looks like in practice. Very different than just reading Ruth as a history book.